Hi, Andrew.
Yo, what's up, Eli?
How's it going?
It's going good, man. Yeah, it's going real good. It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. I might take tomorrow off. Feeling a little excited about the weekend, so I might take a day off and chill with the wifey. What about you, man? How you doing?
That sounds great. I'm doing well. I'm also adjusting to allergies. It's allergy season, Once it goes above 80, it's in Texas. It seems all the pollen starts to drop on you.
Yeah, I know. I hate that. I mean, I don't know. I like going outside, but my nose is completely stuffed right now. But we're gonna make it work. We'll make it work.
No, for sure. Well, before we get started, I'd like to welcome everyone back to Custom Journeys, podcast for exploring different journeys through STEM fields with a focus on people of color and their stories going through STEM. And in today's episode, we'd like to welcome Andrew Baines. Thank you, Andrew, for being here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
He is
Nope.
the. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say there's no place I'd rather be right now. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about this episode.
Cool. No. So quick intro. If y'all didn't know, he is currently a staff engineer at Rice University, at the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Rice. And he is also a former colleague of mine, or he is a current colleague of mine, but former lab mate over at UTSA Mechanical Engineering during a master's degree. And we'll go a little bit into that, into some of those stories here in this episode. But we want to thank you, Andrew, for making the time and being willing to share your story.
Yep, I'm excited. Let's do it.
This is awesome. We for this podcast, like I said, we try to highlight stories, journeys through STEM, and definitely whenever I think of a unorthodox journey through STEM, I definitely think of you, Andrew. And we've had this conversation many times. And as a matter of fact, I invited you to my class one time, and that was a great conversation. So I'm glad we were able to dig a little bit more deeper into that journey.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and start at the beginning, man. Where are you from? Where were you raised? What high school did you go to?
Yeah. So born and raised here in the city of Houston, great city of Houston. A lot of traffic, not many attractions to the city, but I love Houston. Houston's home. Um, yeah, I'm a '90s baby. Grew up here. Went to George Bush High School on the west side of Houston. Actually, it's like officially a part of Richmond, which is like a suburb of Houston. But yeah, that's where I'm from.
Yep, same here. I'm from another further suburb of Houston, but I say Houston for most folks. So, while you're in high school, what inspired you to pursue a STEM career, or were you even thinking about pursuing a STEM career at that point in your life?
So man, so yeah, when I was in high school, what kind of led me into STEM? I'd probably say the biggest influence on me were people that I knew and teachers that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the biggest influences was probably so like growing up, I always took like what they used to call like GT classes, gifted and
Gifted and
talented.
talented.
Yeah, and then when you get to like middle school or when you get to high school, that transitions into like advanced placement or AP, which people might be familiar with. But yeah, about my junior year, I was taking like physics, I believe, and some other AP courses, and I had a really cool physics teacher, and she started talking to me about engineering and things like that. And then on top of that, there was we had like a friend of the family. Me and my siblings grew up with my neighbor's kids, Mr. Ron, and Mr. Ron was like a really cool guy. Um, he was like really outspoken, really dope black guy that went to church with, grew up with his kids, and he was actually the very first engineer that I knew. Like before junior senior year of high school, I didn't really know about engineering until I met Mr. Ron and found out that he was like in the oil and gas industry, which is real big here in Houston. And he encouraged me to think about engineering. And even though I had some doubts before making the decision, he kind of really encouraged me that I could do it. I could accomplish whatever I wanted to do. So that's kind of how, between the combination of like Mr. Ron, I think her name was Miss Baines, my physics teacher, and then my parents, of course, like those people, those influences on me kind of encouraged me to go the route of STEM. That and the amount of money you can make. I was like, yo, you can't go wrong with that. So that's kind of where what led me in the direction to go STEM.
You went a little bit ahead of me. In a little bit, I'll ask you how much money you make. Uh,
Okay, I'm cool with that, man.
no, so no, that's fantastic. Sounds like you had a couple of role models and to show you the way
Yeah,
through a STEM career, and that kind of lines up with an issue that is out there, particularly with people of color, is network gap, right? Knowing people that have gone through it and have
yeah,
found success. So I'm really happy that I found that in Ron or Mr. Ron.
yeah.
So during high school, during high school, did you play any sports? Actually, something I never ever asked you ever.
Ah,
All the years I've
man.
known you, I'm like,
yeah,
did you do football or something in high school?
yeah. So I kind of hinted at it. I mean, we didn't really talk about sports when we used to work together back in the
Yeah.
lab in San Antonio, but yeah, in high school. So it was um yeah, in high school I played football. Football was like my primary sport. And then I ran track. That was more so like a necessity for football or in preparation of football. It wasn't nothing necessarily I was passionate about. I love competing. Like that part of it is exciting. The competition, the team camaraderie part. So that's what kind of got me into sports. But yeah, I mean, I'm once upon a time, my dream was to like be in the NFL. But that's not what God had in the cards for me. 5'6", 150, a senior year of high school. It was like I can go try to walk on at some team or like play some Division 3 ball or something like that, or like go to a particular university where I had felt like I had more opportunities. So I was like, I'll do the latter. I'll just put that dream on the back burner, or I know that dream won't come to fruition, but um, I think in the long run it worked out a lot better for me going the route I went. So, um, but yeah, sports was a big part of like our household and a big part of like my life all the way up until high school.
Wow. No, that's incredible. So you were effectively a student athlete in high school. I would call that student athlete, and that's an interesting topic. I just thinking about that. How many students? One of the only ways they can get through college is through an athletic scholarship.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think that's for a lot of people, that's like the first thing that they look to. Like, especially if you look at people that come from like really underserved communities or like low income communities. Like the first thing they think about is like, oh, I'm gonna make it to the league, whether it's basketball, football, or whatever. And, make it to the league. Then I'm gonna buy a house for my mom, buy a car for my dad.
Exactly.
We're gonna have to talk about that one day. Why mamas get houses and the daddies get cars. That I feel like that's so wrong as a father of two kids. But that's for another show. But yeah, I mean
Father's
that's
Day's
that's
coming.
I know, right? But that's kind of like what the mindset is. It's always like, yeah, I'm gonna play ball of some sort and then make it to the league, and that'll be my out, so to speak. But I think hopefully, this show, this podcast, will kind of help provide more opportunities, more exposure for kids, so they can see other examples of like, hey, like it's other things I can do out there that I'm naturally talented and gifted for, and that I'm passionate and interested about. Um, so yeah,
It's custom.
yes, sir. It's custom,
It's a
custom
custom.
journeys.
So jumping back into academics, you're a student athlete at George Bush. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
you took a couple of GT courses, slash AP courses. Is that correct?
Yeah, I took AP courses in high school, mainly math, but yeah, I like trying to juggle football, track,
Yeah.
other interests. I'll just say that, and academics. Like I don't know, it just wasn't really feasible for me at the moment to like do AP English, AP history, which was like a ton of reading and writing. So I was like, I like math and science, so I'll just do AP math and science. But I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah,
No,
that's kind of the route I went.
no, that's interesting. Because my follow up question is, your time taking AP courses, particularly in mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that helped you? How do you think that helped you later on in college? Um, did you take the AP exam?
No, so I was lazy. I was lazy like senior year. Um Looking back, I don't know. I don't regret not taking it. I think So it's pros and cons on the. I didn't take any AP exams. The pro of not taking an AP exam is that like when I retook the class, so like calculus, for example, I could take the calculus AP exam. The pro of not taking the AP exam was that my freshman year of college, I just retook calculus, got an easy A. Just retake the class. You already know all the material. Or if there's anything you struggle with, it's a good opportunity to kind of get increase your knowledge on it or get brushed up on it. On a disadvantage, obviously, with college tuition prices back in like early 2010 or like 2009, like prices are high as they are now, or they were high then. The college prices are still high now, but I mean, I could have saved probably, I don't know, anywhere between, I'll probably say just ballpark $5,000
Mm-hmm,
by
mm-hmm.
going ahead and taking the AP exam versus, you know, not taking it and then having to retake the class in college. Um, but yeah, and then your other question about like time management. Um, yeah, I think the AP classes, I think that's probably like one of the biggest things that helped me
Mm-hmm.
get prepared for college.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why, or like, so it reminds me of a story. Like one of my friends from college, we had both went to Bush, but she had took like just basic math, science, English, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I had took like AP math and science. And I remember it was like after like a history class one day, we were talking, and she was like, "Yo," she like, "Do you feel prepared for college?" I was like, "What you mean?" I was like, "Yeah, I feel prepared." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "Bro, I don't feel like Bush prepared me for this at all. Like, you gotta do like it's a big shock to your system, like going from like high school to college, and then like I think in a lot of the like generic high school classes. I shouldn't say generic, but the basic high school classes, you don't really have to do homework that much. You're not really like it doesn't really require that much extra work or extra effort like outside of the classroom. Whereas like with the AP class, you got to be like you got a lot of homework for each class,
You gotta
and
be on top
then
of it.
yeah, exactly. You got to manage your time, like especially if you're doing AP classes and extracurricular like band, football,
Mm-hmm.
sports, whatever. So I mean, time management is a must if you're gonna do that. But if you're like if you've never had to do that and then you get to college and that's your first time experiencing it, it is definitely a culture shock, so to speak. So I think I was fortunate taking AP classes. I kind of got um, a good opportunity in high school to kind of get familiar with time management.
100%. I 100% agree. It's similar to my experience when I went to high school, and then going to college. And and yeah, AP courses have a tendency to prepare you for that rigor, right?
Yep, definitely.
For sure. Now, I have two more high school questions before we move on to college. I'm kind of jumping a little bit there,
Cool, cool,
but
cool. Go ahead.
I think one other huge aspect about college is of high school is the college search.
Hmm.
And one part A of this question is: did you have a college counselor, and did they help you in finding an institution to apply to? And B, how many colleges did you end up applying to?
Yeah, so I'll answer question B first because it's easiest. I applied to one college, and that's the
Really,
college I went to.
really?
Yeah. Um, yeah, and we'll kind of talk about like how I came to that decision. Um, yeah, so I only applied to the University of Texas, San Antonio, UTSA. The other school I was two other schools I was thinking about, LSU. That was like my dream school. That's actually like the first school I ever visited. That dream got shot down as soon as I visited campus and I saw how much out of state tuition was. And I looked at my mom and dad and they
Right,
were like,
right.
and I'm like, where are we gonna come up with this money from?
I'm not gonna be
But
able to
I
do it.
mean, yeah, so on the car ride back, I was like, yo, this ain't gonna happen. And then the other school I was thinking about was Texas A&M. Um, they were a pretty good engineering school. I knew quite a few people that went to school there. And I visited their campus a couple of times actually. I just didn't really I mean the vibe on campus, it just wasn't something I was really like saw myself on that campus. And I even thought about transferring there. Like after my first year of school, I was thinking about transferring to UT Austin or Texas A&M.
Hmm.
Texas A&M, I just again, it was just the vibe. I was like, yo, I don't really see myself walking on this campus. And then UT Austin, it was cool. But I started having like a lot of opportunities at UTSA that just made me stay there. So that's kind of the long answer to like me saying I applied to one school and that's where I went.
Quick,
But back to your question about like the counselors.
right.
Counselors, man, they play like a huge role on campus. I get a chance to kind of talk to my sister who's a high school counselor and get like a behind the scenes look at some of the stuff they go through.
Right.
But yeah, man, counselors are like really, really important. Um, Miss Janelle, and I even had counselors that weren't I wasn't assigned to that played a big part in like helping me figure things out. Um, One of the counselors at Bush, her younger brother was actually an engineer at Prairie View A&M. And back when I was still trying to figure out, hey, like, is this gonna be something I want to do, something I can do? She like just gave me her brother's cell phone number and let me talk to him for about 30 minutes to an hour. So that's just a quick story. But yeah,
So
one of my counselors, she did actually discourage me from applying to Texas A&M because my ACT scores weren't that great.
okay.
Looking back, I should have just went ahead and applied. I'm pretty sure I could have got in based on like my GPA, class rank, and everything else, but my
Mm-hmm.
ACT scores were like trash, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
verbal writing, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. It's like, okay, why do I need to know these words? But yeah, math score was good. My grades were good, and I was applying for an engineering major, which is pretty much majority math. So I'm confident I could have got in there if I actually applied to it.
Right. Just out of curiosity, was there an application fee to apply to A and
Um,
M?
Man, I could not remember. I'd have to go deep
I don't know
into the
if you
memory
recall.
banks.
If you don't recall, hopefully that meant that it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, if it was an application fee, I want to say like $50. Yeah, I think so. In the state of Texas, I think if you have like free or reduced lunch, you can apply up to like 5 schools for free.
Mm,
Um, I
interesting.
believe that's what it was. But yeah, I think I didn't qualify for that, so I think I had to pay like X amount of dollars for each school I applied for, which is kind of stupid in the end to me because um, I don't know. You're kind of like people may not be rich. I mean, they may not meet the like free and reduced lunch, but like not every parent wants to just pay like $50 each time they have to apply. So if there is a fee, I think they should think about getting rid of that.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to highlight. And sorry, last question about that, a follow up. Were
Yeah.
any of those visits you made to campuses, college campuses, were there any sponsored tour events provided by the university?
Yeah, so LSU, it was like I had went out there for a specific tour of some sort. It was like they had a tour lined up. They had like a different conversations we could have with like financial aid and
Mm-hmm.
whoever else was working on campus at the time. And then for UTSA, same thing. They had like a general tour where they gave you a tour of the campus, and then here's the bookstore, here's the financial aid office where you will spend most of your time your freshman year,
Okay.
begging for money. And yeah,
Yep. No, one thing I want to highlight here, the reason I'm poking these follow ups, we're still in high
yeah,
school right now, is that we need to think about all the logistical challenges that are presented with the college search, application fees, researching colleges adequately, right, while you're taking courses,
mm-hmm.
making visits, making the time to go visit colleges. All these require time and money, and that most students that come from the neighborhoods we grew up may not have those types of resources. So I'm thinking that's probably another source of adversity for people of color.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something that like I probably got to do my research and see okay what exactly are the requirements. But I think if I do like a sidebar rant,
Mm-hmm.
a tangent rant, like I
This
think
is the
as a
place to do it.
country, exactly right. I think as a country we have to figure out like what is the goal of our education system. So, if the goal of your education is to train and educate a future workforce, um, and like to improve society, we need to try to do that in mass numbers. So like not just letting kids slip through the cracks because of like basic logistical barriers or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I mean, how much money is it going to cost? I don't know the numbers, but how much money would it cost to just let kids apply for free um, to your university if they're an American citizen? Like, let's think about that. Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, we can talk more about that later, but
No,
that's
because yeah,
just my basic thoughts.
No, no, no. I think it's fantastic. That's immediately the thoughts I had when we brought that up. All the little things we don't think about, we take for granted when applying to college. Okay, so now you applied to UTSA, you got in,
Yep.
um, and you are about to move out. Um, how are you feeling? What are you thinking at the moment?
Oh man, yeah, I can remember that day. So I used to work at Linens and Things back. Dang, I feel old, bro.
Linens and things. Oh my god, that's
Linens and
old school.
Things.
Whoa, that's a throwback. Holy.
Man, I used to have my apron on, bro. I'd be, yeah, people calling in asking, "Can you check in the back for it?" And I'm like, "It is not back there." They be asking for candles and stuff. But anyway, yeah, I used to work at Linens and Things. I remember like buying stuff on discount because I was like, number one, the store is about to close down. They were going out of business. And if you don't know, Linens and Things is basically Bed Bath and Beyond, but worse because they're not in business anymore. Um, so yeah, I was buying stuff on discount, like laundry hampers and stuff like that, getting ready to drive out to San Antonio for college. And like, I don't know, it was an experience. I was excited. First of all, I'll say that I was a little nervous, like being on my own, just like on my own, because I'm the youngest of three, so I'm always used to like having other people around and everything like that. And this is gonna be like my first time venturing out on my own, but I just loaded up my car by myself and drove out to San Antonio by myself, just unloaded my car by myself. Not that I think my parents, I didn't ask them, but they might have did that like by design just to kind of let me see like, okay, you're on your own now. Like you gotta take care of yourself.
Right.
It's not like we're gonna be here every step of the way to help you out. They're there if I need them, but like
Mm-hmm.
the day-to-day stuff. Then my parents came out, I think later that night or the next day to kind of see how I was and help me like with any last minute things. Then you gotta say bye, mama. And
Bye,
then
mama. That's the hardest part. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I was excited overall, man. I felt like it was a fresh start, new beginning. I'm an introvert by nature, so I felt like okay, this is a chance for me to kind of like try to step out of my shell a little bit more and stuff like that. So I was excited about it.
Yep. Yep. That sounds very familiar. But it sounds like from what you mentioned earlier, you had at that point already known a few people um, beforehand before you moved to San Antonio, like former classmates that had graduated already, if I'm
Yes,
not mistaken.
yeah. So I had and surprisingly, it was probably like maybe like five of us that went to the same high school that ended
Mm-hmm.
up going to UTSA. And there were a few people that had graduated the year before me that I knew, and they were at UTSA. So it was it wasn't like I was like starting from scratch. And my first year, especially starting off early on in my first year, I did spend like a ton of time with those people, my friends from high school, just like exploring the city and learning about college and going to parties and stuff like that. So that was a ton of fun, just being like an adult on your own, but hanging out with your friends. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, not to discredit anything. That's your early network, and
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Some of those people I still like talk to this day and like lean on for stuff, just like basic advice or just like catching up and talking to them, hanging out, birthday parties and stuff like that. So
mm-hmm.
that's always good to have.
Yeah, no, not to discredit, to not to trivialize. I think it's still important. I think that's your first network that you're building.
Yep.
And so as an introvert, you're getting used to being a little bit more social, meeting new people. Did
Yep.
you at one point did you begin to get involved with any type of student organizations on campus?
Um, so I'd say probably like freshman year, I started like looking at different student organizations I thought I might want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were like social based, some of them like educational based. Um, a lot of the ones that I really interacted with were actually kind of a mix, but most of them were like more so like grouped by like academics. So like engineering organizations of some sort, like National Society of Black Engineers. What else did we have?
That's
Like
Nesby.
yeah, NSB, NSBE.
Mm-hmm.
We had a college engineering ambassador program. That was more like it wasn't necessarily a student. It was a student ran organization where you got like a little stipend. It was almost like you were hired in a sense, but it was like a mixed hybrid kind of. But yeah, those student organizations were like really beneficial too for like
Mm-hmm.
helping me expand my network of like fellow students and staff members and faculty members on campus. And again, like those are people that like I can like pick up the phone today and call and be like, "Yo, I need some help with something," or "Do you want to come on my podcast with Eli and we could talk about whatever?" Or or I need a recommendation letter for this and that. So I mean, yeah, that those student organizations were kind of like the foundation for helping me build my network out.
Gotcha. And as we'll touch on later on today, that ended up being very helpful
Yeah,
in your
definitely.
career. Now, at this point, freshman year, you're getting adjusted to life on your own. How much were you in terms of a percentage? How much were you paying for college in terms of scholarships, loans, family help, etc.?
Yeah. So I actually looked it up the other day, bro. 'Cause I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, I'm trying to be a little prepared for the numbers. I had, I think it was a $750 grant and $1,000 scholarship from, I believe it was my grandpa, grandma, my mom's parents
Mm-hmm.
from their church.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
That's like
17,
two books. But still,
pretty much, bro. I was like, I can't do nothing with this, but
hey, it's
let
something. I'm
me,
not hating. I'm just saying it's expensive.
yeah, let me back up. So let me be grateful. So yeah,
Yes,
I
yes.
was extremely grateful for the scholarship, especially because it was like I know my grandparents, they gonna go to bat for their grandbabies,
Right,
all of us.
right.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm thankful for that and I was grateful for that. But at the same time, that's like when I got there freshman year and I had to take out like a $500 emergency book loan
Mm-hmm.
like day one. I was like, bro, like what? Like it's really hitting me.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that $1,000, that's like barely enough for my books and like something else. And then like if you stayed on campus, like I did your first year,
Mm-hmm.
you had to get a meal plan. A meal plan was like crazy expensive.
Yep.
Um,
Right.
I should have just like if I would have known about it, I would have just like got the bare minimum meal plan and then just waited for people by the door at the cafe asking them to swipe me in like some people did, but that's neither here nor there. Um,
You do what you got to do.
but yeah, but no, back to your original question. I think about yeah, so 1750, $1,750 is what I had in scholarships or grant money. Keep in mind that in this time, uh, when you go to college, if you don't know, you have what's called an EFC. Uh, well, you have two things. EFC is like your expected family contribution,
Right.
like what FAFSA thinks your parents are going to write you a check for
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
each year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, that really wasn't accurate, I don't think. And then the other thing is like you have each university can give you like an expected cost of tuition and fees or expected cost of attendance or something like that. So
Right.
the expected ballpark cost of attendance for UTSA back in like 2009 was like around 22 grand. So I got $1,000 scholarship and a $750 grant, and I had to come up with the other $20,000. So it was a lot of loans
Wow.
and
Real quick, did
loans.
that include room and board?
Yeah, so that was like everything. So
Okay.
I mean,
Everything included. Okay.
yeah, so that's like everything. That's like room and board, tuition fees, like everything you would probably need. Even like I think they had like transportation costs. I think it was like basically everything all in one. So
Right.
yeah, so that's just something to think about if you're like planning to go to college. But yeah, all in all, that's about how much financial aid I had. My parents, I think they gave me some money freshman year. Like I think they might have wrote a check or two.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember how much money it was, but I don't think it was that mythical EFC number that they had computed whatever that was.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. So pretty much you had about 10% of your tuition covered, either by
Yeah.
scholarship or help. So the rest of it, so it's like 10%, 90% loans. Your
Yeah.
first year of college.
Yeah, it was about 10 to 90 scholarships
And
too.
UTSA is one of the more affordable institutions you can go to,
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Okay. So I
Definitely.
just wanted to paint that picture, for folks at home that are thinking about how they're going to pay for college and just highlight that this is really an issue, being able to afford college, especially, if you don't got a trust fund, right? Uh,
Trust
it's,
fund
yeah,
babies.
yeah, exactly. It's like we got, it's an issue, yeah, we have to figure out. if you want to go get a degree to get, one of those highly coveted job, white collar jobs,
Yep.
So, yeah, so the first year you took a lot of loans, but you stuck through it. Did you have your first year of college, any issues adapting to the academic rigor? I mean, you mentioned that your AP course kind of prepared you for that, but you want to talk about any kind of, yeah, issues adjusting?
No, to be honest, like academically everything was going great. Like my first semester, I like missed the dean's list by like 0.01. Like you did a GPA of like 3.75. I had 3.74. So I was like, dang, like I barely missed that. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it next semester, which I did. I was like, that's dope. So like academically, everything was going great. Um, and yeah, I just spent like I had like a ton of free time because I wasn't working a job. I was just going to school full time, hanging out with my friends and my roommates.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was going smooth there. And then yeah, probably like the hardest class, like academically starting off was probably like calculus, which one? Calculus 2, where you gotta do like double integrations, integration by parts. It's like, bro, I cannot remember this stuff. So that was probably like the hardest time I had. I felt like high school had prepared me well enough. And
Mm-hmm.
then everything after that, I realized it was just really a effort or a time game. Like how much time are you gonna put in to learn this material, and how much effort are you willing to put in to do well? And I was like, okay, if I got to stay up in the library till like midnight or whatever, like if that's what it takes, that's what we're doing. So yeah, I was kind of motivated, and I think a big part of it had to do with me like having some self doubt. Starting off,
Mm-hmm.
like starting off, I was always like, bro, like when I was in high school, I remember telling like some people, like, y'all gonna do engineering. They're like, "Are you sure, bro? Like, that's a tough major." I remember like I'm thinking of like my peers and like adults that I was telling at the time. They're like, "I tried engineering when I was in college, but I couldn't do the math, man. I had to get up." I'm like, "Okay, don't be projecting your failures on me." But I think some of that doubt that like people told me, like that I put on myself from listening to other people, and then just self doubt that I had naturally. I
Mm-hmm.
think like when I got there, I was like motivated to prove to myself and to others that like, yo, I did it, and
You had a
not
chip
only
on your
did I do
shoulder.
it, yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of like that competitive nature that I talked about. Like I like competing, even if I'm competing against myself. Like I want to get
Yeah.
better, improve myself, prove to myself that I can do something.
I mean,
So
Andrew,
I
you kind
think
of
that's
need
kind
that
of
when you're a 5'6" quarterback.
you got jokes, bro? You trying to cap on me? Nah, man. You right though. You are really right, because I mean, people gonna underestimate you at every look of the turn. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm in the stands and I look at it like a game, I see a guy that's like 5'6", 150. I'm like, bro, you look like what?
What's that little guy
Get
doing?
your butt on the bench. But nah, yeah, you gotta have that heart, that competitive nature,
Right.
and I
Right.
definitely had that, and I think that's something that translated well to the academic side of things.
So you did end up going for engineering in college.
Yeah, so like I knew right out the gate that I was gonna do mechanical engineering.
Okay.
I was interested in like electrical a little bit, but it seemed like a little bit more confusing. Mechanical engineering just seemed natural. Like it was just like, okay, there's a car. A
Mm-hmm.
mechanical engineer made that car. Electrical engineering, it was like there's this circuit and there's this network of electricity, and I was like, bro, I don't even understand how all this stuff is working. Like I had done like some basic science fair type stuff and like built circuits and stuff in high school or
Really?
whatever, but it just wasn't something that I was like really passionate about, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really have the motivation to go learn it. Whereas mechanical engineering, I knew I wanted to work on cars or airplanes. That was the goal. I was like, Boeing better give me a job, or GM or Ford better give me a job, or we're gonna have a problem. And
Was that the thinking to try to get a job at one of those car companies slash
yeah,
airplane companies?
yeah. So side story. So like I was telling my wife the other day, I went to my parents' house and I had to pick up like some boxes and stuff that I had over there for like years. And inside there, I found a book that I made. Like your senior year of high school, you oftentimes make like a senior legacy book,
Mm-hmm.
basically a
Mm-hmm.
book like cataloging your life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I had wrote an essay at the end of it, which actually turned into like a scholarship application letter. And in that letter, it was like, in 5 years from now, I want to be seeing my name on some car made by General Motors. And
No kidding.
no kidding at all, bro. 100%. But yeah, so it didn't actually happen in 5 years. It happened in 6 years after I wrote that. But the fact that it like came to fruition like that, I was
Yeah.
like, bro, it's power in the tongue, power in what you write down on paper. And
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta have that perseverance. Put it on paper, put that goal on paper, and then run through whatever wall you gotta run through, do whatever you gotta do to make it happen. And I think it'll you can manifest that and it'll come to fruition.
That is mind blowing.
Yes, sir.
Did not know that, Andrew. Did not know that about
Yep.
you. So yeah, no, that's great. And one other, what you just mentioned, I wanted to highlight,
Yep.
and that is back in K through 12, your exposure to that science fair competition or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, you may not have ended up choosing that degree path, electrical engineering, but you were aware of it, and that in and of itself helps you guide through, through your journey. And so that's one other aspect we want to highlight here is what programs influences younger people K through 12, what they have to help them guide them right
Yeah.
into these career paths.
Yeah, man, you preaching to the choir, bro. I'm like a big advocate for like exposure. I think that's like the primary way we can kind of change the narrative and help more Black and brown kids get into STEM. Um, because yeah, I'm thinking like if I didn't have my high school physics teacher or Mr. Ron like telling me about engineering, I probably don't find out about it, to be honest. And
Mm-hmm.
or not until I get to college or something like that. So I mean, if we start at an even earlier age, I was like 16, 17 at that time. I think if we start at an earlier age with like exposure and STEM camps and stuff like that, I think you can really open up the doors of opportunity to a lot of these kids that might be slipping through the cracks right now.
Moving forward, going, grinding along engineering courses, getting through the all calculus 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm counting differential equations as part 4.
What? I don't even know. When they make a calculus for, I was like, oh shit, I missed it.
I got some PTSD from that. I'm sorry
All right.
for initiating some of that. It did feel like 4. So grinding through that, were you able to apply for more scholarships to help you pay for school?
Okay, so yeah, after freshman year, um okay, so yo, all right, here's the trick. So after my freshman year, I was like, or not even the end of my freshman year, like halfway through my freshman year, I was like, yo, this is not gonna work. There's no way I'm about to like go to school 4 years and me taking out all these loans all 4 years. So I started like doing research, meeting people and things like that. I think
Mm-hmm.
two things really helped me out with in the end, when everything was all said and done, I ended up getting like 40,000 in scholarships and like research stipends,
Mm-hmm.
like just to pay for like tuition. And then
Mm-hmm.
there was other money I got on top of that, like in a monthly payout, like a monthly payment for like
Mm-hmm.
working a job on campus. So the way I got like the 40 grand was like freshman year of school, freshman, it was either like freshman year or sophomore year. I met a guy, one of my best friends. He was called me one night. He was like, yo, he's like, what you doing? I'm about to go work out. He was like, I found some money. He was like, I found a scholarship for you. He's like, bro, I just applied. He was like, I'm gonna send you the scholarship. Go ahead and apply for it, and you're gonna get it. And so turns out it was actually like a research stipend.
Hmm.
So there was a program called Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation.
Okay.
Acronym is LSAMP,
LSAT.
LSAMP. And what it is, they really try to encourage minority students to get interested in like working in the research lab as an undergraduate. They do
Hmm.
have other programs for people that are interested in doing a PhD, but the program I applied for was undergraduate students trying to get them engaged with research on campus. So I
Interesting.
applied to the program. I looked online. The deadline was actually like that next day. I was like, bro, thanks for the heads up. But I mean, I gotta like scramble, put together like a resume and stuff or whatever. But anyway, I apply. Um, on the application, you got to write down like 3 faculty members' names
Mm-hmm.
that you want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I'm like a freshman or a sophomore. I have not worked with any professor in the engineering department. I haven't taken any classes with them yet. So, except for like one introductory to engineering. But anyway, I look on the mechanical engineering website. I pick like 3 random names based on like what their research is that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Then it turns out I get awarded the money. It's actually only like $1,000. I think it's broken out over like monthly payments. So like basically they split $1,000 over like 4 or 5 months and they pay it out to you. So I get that award. I start working for Dr. Millwater at UTSA.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with him for probably like a year or 2 years. I think I did 2 years of LSAMs. So getting like, it wasn't a ton of money, but it was something. It was good. It was helping me out. Um, Things really started to change when like LSAM, I don't think LSAM ran out. No, I still had the opportunity to do LSAM, but I guess from my hard work and dedication, Dr. Millwater was like, "Hey, I got some extra grant money. If you want to like continue working on what you're working on, and even learn some new like finite element analysis. It's just some don't get caught up in the name. It's just some new math technique to solve problems. Well, it's not new, but anyway, if you want to learn how
It's
to,
actually pretty old. It's an old
yeah, it's
technique.
really old. Yeah, so he was like, hey, if you want to learn finite element analysis, learn some computer programming.
We
Um,
should have an FEM episode, Andrew.
God no, Eli, nobody wants to watch that. Like, turn this off. Um, yeah, man. So now he was like, yo, you want to do FEA? Do FEA and learn some computer programming, some Fortran, some Python. I was like, all right, cool. I want to learn something. I like
Speaking
a
of excitement,
challenge.
Fortran. I'm sorry.
This guy, but yeah, man. Yeah, no. So I was like, so he was like, yeah, I got some grant money. He was like, I'll take care of your classes and I'll pay you like a monthly stipend. I was like, okay, you gonna take care of my classes? He's like, yeah, like send me like register for your classes and
Right.
send your like account summary, like the breakdown of how much your classes cost. Send that to like it was another guy, it was like an admin guy. Send that to him.
Send me the bill, pretty
Yeah, basically
much.
send me the bill and I'm take care of it. And I was like, what? Like you about to pay me to go to school? Like y'all crazy. So I mean, that was probably like late junior year, and all of senior year. But anyway, after that happened, bro, I was like, okay, this like I'm done. Like I don't have to pay for school no more. Like it was 100% paid for, and I still had like a couple of other scholarships from like USAA and Boeing. So the LSAMP program was like one of the biggest things I think. Well, it was the biggest thing that kind of turned things around for me financially and professionally. I think that was like my introduction to research, which turned into so much more. And then on the flip side, sophomore year, I started applying to end of freshman year, I started applying to departmental scholarships. So competition is great. Everybody, you should be open to competing, but you want to be smart, work smart, not hard. So, for example, UTSA at the time they had like 22,000 students, 25,000 students. UTSA used to have like general scholarships. It was like the easiest application in the world. It was like 2 or 3 pages. You literally just go on there, put your name, your info in there, and then you just put like acronyms for the scholarships that you want to apply to. And that's it. Like that's it. Like anybody and everybody can do it. But the problem is you're competing with 22 or
Right.
25,000 students.
Right.
So what I did was I started hearing about departmental scholarships. So I worked in the College of Engineering. College of Engineering that houses mechanical engineering, electrical, civil, computer, biomedical, whatever, etc. So you can go directly to your college, and they have scholarships for your college, and then scholarships maybe even specifically for your department. So like the Department of Mechanical Engineering.
Right.
So once I found out about those, bro, it was a wrap. So I was like, it's less competition. At
Right.
most, it was like 5,000 kids. I don't think it was that many. But yeah, it's a lot. The competition was a lot smaller, and my GPA was real good. Um, and at the time, I was starting to work in a research lab, sophomore, junior year, and I was starting to get my name out there within the department, like networking with the staff and faculty members. I was
Right.
working as a college engineering ambassador, so it was like a perfect situation. So it was less competition. I had networked with people. um, all of that. So I mean, I had started getting like a lot of money that way. So like I said, I was like USAA. It's like a financial institution, insurance in San Antonio. They offered me a scholarship through the college. Boeing. They didn't hire me for a job or even offer me a job, but they gave me scholarship money. So I'm appreciative of that. Um, that has like some other like some just endowment scholarships. So like somebody passed away, but they
Mm-hmm.
had donated money to the university through an endowment, and I
Mm-hmm.
got scholarship money through that. So there's a lot of good opportunities that came through those two methods: doing undergraduate research through LSAMP and then through Department of Scholarships. So probably like my last two years of school, I'd say I didn't pay anything out of pocket. My first, now I went to school for about 5 years. So my last 2 years, it was like 100% paid for. First year was like 10% paid for with scholarships. Year 2 and 3, it was probably like 50-50
Mm-hmm.
between scholarships, LSAMP, and financial aid through loans and free money. It was like 50-50. And then, like I said, the last 2 years, it was just like all paid for. So
Wow. Where would I start in trying to find scholarships that could help me? Like, mm-hmm.
networking is to be like one of the most important things that you can do throughout your entire career. And while
Mm-hmm.
you're in college, you should get familiar, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, and networking, stepping outside of your shell and talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
So every college, every university, I would say comfortably within the entire country has like a financial aid department.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna have to talk to the people in that financial aid office and get information from them. Number one, first and foremost, like every student that's in that financial aid office needs money, and the people that work there know that. So you need to start asking them first, like, "Hey, I'm an engineering major. I'm a computer science major. What scholarships are out there?" So that's number one, the first piece of advice. Number two, um, start talking to like your faculty members during office hours and even outside of office hours. Like, tell them like, "Yo, I'm having a hard time paying for school. Do you know of any scholarships I can apply for?" And then lastly, the staff and the administrative staff. They might be like the key to the whole thing. I mean, they are like the ones who are like a lot of times helping come up with the deadlines or like posting the stuff online or
Mm-hmm.
printing out the flyers and stuff like that. There was like this one little turnstile, like this one little like spot where they would put all the scholarship forms every semester. I knew exactly where it was at. I knew exactly when to go apply. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I took more than a handful of pieces of paper because I didn't want nobody else finding out about it. I was like, yo, I don't need no competition. Let me get this
Yeah.
money. But no, that's the advice I would give is
Mm-hmm.
to talk and network to the people, the employees at the university, and then also your peers. They're gonna know stuff as well. I mean, they're gonna know stuff that you don't know, and yeah, make sure that you're leaving your reputation precedes you. So make sure that when people hear your name and they think of you, they think of something good and positive.
Right.
Because more likely than not, I never asked, but I always made the assumption that these faculty members or these staff members are the one that are actually approving some of these scholarships. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but in my mind, I was like, yo, if I'm a college engineering ambassador, like the faculty, the staff, they see my face, they know me, they know whatever. Um, I was making the assumption that yeah, they might even be the ones approving or denying these scholarships. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make sure I leave um, a good taste in their mouth when they think about me
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, so
Mm-hmm.
that when they come, they reviewing scholarship, they see my name, like, oh yeah, his GPA might not be the best. He has a good GPA,
Mm-hmm.
but may not be the best. But I really like this guy, So just
Yeah.
keep all that in mind.
Did you do any kind of internships, research experiences in the summer? But it sounds like you kind of were by your third, fourth year in undergrad.
Yeah. So I didn't do any internships as an undergrad. I applied to like a lot of them, just didn't get back. Like I didn't have the biggest thing is like, and I understand people's struggles. Like when you're applying for a job, especially entry level job, and they put on there they want a bachelor's degree, master's degree preferred. This is an entry level position. We expect you to have 3 to 5 years experience for an entry level position. And I'm just like, who the hell wrote this job description?
Yep.
But yeah, so the internships, man, I don't know if they were looking for somebody with experience already or whatever, but or maybe they were thought other people were more qualified. I just didn't get them as an undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my like I said, my junior senior year, I started doing a lot of research. So during the summers, I would just stay on campus or not on campus. I lived in an apartment right off campus, but I would continue to do research, but I'd do it full time. So it was dope because I was getting like a full time
Right.
salary as a research
Right.
assistant, undergraduate research assistant. So I mean, that was a lot more money than I was
Mm-hmm.
getting through the year, and that was good, man. It was
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
I knew when my money was gonna hit. It was like, yeah, it was good. I ain't gonna say too much about it, but during that time, I met there was a new faculty member who just came on campus, just started working at UTSA, and he used to work at Sandia National Labs in Albuquerque, New Mexico,
Okay.
and he taught FBA. Um, and I took his class because I was also doing research in that area. And I think we started to build a good rapport with each other. I would
Is
go
that
hang out in his
Dr.
office.
Foster?
Yeah, Dr. Foster.
Okay.
He's at UT Austin now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would go in his office, talk to him. He would kind of just give me game, like just kind of tell me about engineering. We talk about life too, stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that. I mean, I think he kind of took a liking to me. And so a lot of times when you're in college, especially like in these technical fields, they'll have different speakers come out throughout the semester. And I guess Dr. Foster invited Dr. Bishop from Sandia National Labs, and Dr. Bishop he used to work at General Motors. He was real big in the FBA, and he worked at Sandia currently at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, all right, so cool. So I was telling Dr. Foster like I was looking for an internship and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, "What do you think about the guy's first name is Joe? Dr. Bishop first name is Joe." So he's like, "What do you think about Joe?" I was like, "Would you like to work with him?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great if you could do that." So unfortunately, when I first met him, it was already like February or March, I believe, and they already were thinking about posting an internship, but they already had somebody in mind for the summer internship. They already had somebody in mind by February for a job that's going to be posted like by May or June. So that's number one. Think about that. You got to be planning ahead of time,
Yep.
be proactive.
Yep.
But the following year, I was able to work with Dr. Bishop at Sandia National Labs, get some good internship experience under my belt. Um, I'll go ahead and tell you how much I was making.
Hold on. This was an undergrad, or was this when you were a master's student?
Okay, thank you. Because I was about to get my timeline was messing up.
That's okay.
So that was I first met Joe as an undergrad.
Okay.
I
Perfect.
graduated like December of that year,
Mm-hmm.
and then the following I made the decision to go back to UTSA for a master's degree in mechanical engineering. So I went to grad school, and then my first summer of grad school, I ended up getting an internship at Sandia National Labs.
Okay. Gotcha. No, I just wanted to, before we jump to grad school, we're almost
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
We're actually making good time. So,
Okay.
yeah, no, I think so. So, the importance of having professional experiences in
Yeah.
undergrad, because sounds like that's what kind of led you not only to what you ended up doing in grad school, but also internships in grad school, and ultimately, your job thereafter, or jobs thereafter. And I think those were pretty much in line, or consequences of your professional experiences in undergrad.
Yeah, I think that set me apart from like my peers. As an undergrad was that I didn't have an internship. That would have been great if I had a summer internship, but the fact that I was working in a research lab on campus, that was like, I think that was pretty impressive for different people, especially um, a lot of times you'll find that it seems like people don't want to train people for certain jobs. So if you come in the door having like programming experience with Python or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or if you know how to use a particular software like Abacus or
Mm-hmm.
ANSYS or whatever
Mm-hmm.
to do FBA, then you'll kind of set yourself apart versus like somebody just fresh out of college with none of that experience. So I think that really helped set me up.
No, 100%. I didn't know you met Dr. Bishop in undergrad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's really
Did you
interesting.
know him?
I didn't get a chance to meet him. I did know Dr. Foster. I took a course with him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you took
Actually,
HPC?
yeah, I was gonna say we both took that course.
Yeah, that was
So
fun.
yeah. So speaking of grad school, uh, at this point, you have your the great thing about having professional experiences is that they help you guide you in deciding what you want to pursue afterwards. So you did research, obviously. So that gave you a taste of what it's like to do research at a graduate level. So, did that influence your decision at all, or how did it influence your decision going into grad school next?
Yeah, so two things helped me decide to go to grad school. Number one was the fact that, like you said, I was doing research already in the lab. Um, so I kind of knew like what to expect from like a research perspective. Like, okay, well, how do you do research? Like, how do you do literature reviews and stuff like that? The other part, and it's probably even bigger, was just the peer pressure from the other students working in the lab. So we usually had like, it was probably like at least two undergrads working in the lab at a time. Um, and the rest of the students in there are usually like masters or PhD students. So we had like Joe, the Carolinas, the Joes, the Juans, the Daniels, the Lauras. Those are all like masters, PhD students. So they were all like, "You gotta go to grad school like every day,"
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "No, leave me alone."
I was
So
about to
like,
tell you, I know exactly who you're talking about.
yeah, bro, it's like that peer pressure, and they're like, "Why not? You're already doing the research. You might as well. It's just 2 years. Why not go ahead and do it?" So the thing that kind of pushed me over the edge and helped me decide to do it was number one, I enjoyed working in the research lab. That like it's kind of like a family bond or a family uh, environment working in a research lab between you and your peers. Number two, I enjoyed being in college. I didn't really feel like I wanted to go work in the real world yet. I felt like I had my entire life to do that, and I was dating a chick at the time. I was dating this girl at the time, and I knew if I graduated and went and got a job, she was gonna be like, where my wedding ring, where my engagement ring at?" So I was like 22 and I wasn't ready to like get engaged, but I knew I didn't want to. I know I wanted to be with this girl long term,
Mm-hmm.
potentially marriage, but I just didn't want to do it at that moment. I wanted to get more financially stable, so I was like, grad school's 2 years, and I got all these other reasons to go, so I'll go ahead and do it. And I ended up marrying that crazy ass girl anyway, so it worked out in the end.
I understand you put that ring on layaway. I get it.
No, I did not, bro. I paid full price for that thing. I bought some stocks at one price. I sold them.
Metaphorically speaking, you put it away for another day to save money.
Hey, to be honest, I'm gonna go on a real quick like sidebar.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
bought that ring, did you help me hide that ring? I
Uh,
think I feel like I called you to come out. Remember, I went in the round. There's like a roundabout circle.
uh huh.
There's like the UT. There's an engineering building, and then right across from it, there used to be like a arts building.
Yeah,
And
right.
there's a
And
roundabout by the arts building. I feel like I called you.
there's like a fountain right there, right?
Yeah, I might have called you to give you like it was like some paperwork that came with the ring. I think I gave you that, and I
Okay.
asked you to put it in a desk. I'm
Okay.
pretty confident I
Did
did
I
it.
do it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
So I got
good.
it. I got it now. So
Good.
yeah. But
I,
anyway, yeah, man. That's why I ended up going to grad school.
good, good. Excellent. So, all right. So now we're in graduate school. Now Eli comes in the picture. At least Lisa's here. Uh,
Yep.
finally, we're here. And so quick side note. We did our master's degree virtually at the same time. We graduated at the same time with our master's degree. So
Yep.
I was very fortunate to be there, working with Andrew, working on two sides of a similar project, and that was really fun. And obviously, happy I made this friendship. Ended up leading to other things. But yeah, Andrew, here you are doing a master's degree at UTSA in mechanical engineering still.
Yep. So still in mechanical engineering, but yeah, my master's degree, like I said, that was an easy decision. And the biggest difference or the biggest transition like between doing a master's degree and a bachelor's degree is like um when you do like a bachelor's, you're just kind of like general studies, kind of like you're just kind of like everywhere. You're studying like fluids, heat transfer, thermodynamics, material science, whatever. When you do your master's, it's gonna be like very narrow. You're gonna pick one of those like fields, and you're gonna like go pretty narrow and deep into like some theory behind it or something, or a particular application of it. Took 2 years to graduate with that. It was a little bit of a transition at the front end of it, just getting used to like the classes. You just take two classes in a master's degree to be full time, um, or two classes and then like research credit hours. But it's still like a lot of work compared to like your traditional undergraduate classes that you would take.
Right. No. Did you find that these courses, a single graduate level course, does that have the same amount of rigor as an undergrad course, or more or less?
Oh God, man, yeah, it's a lot more rigorous doing that one master's course than like two undergraduate courses, because it's like you get like so deep into like the weeds and stuff, and like derivations and math theories behind stuff. So like you might learn an equation as an undergrad and be like, okay, this is Bernoulli's equation or whatever. But then like as a master's degree, you're like, okay, how did he come up with this equation?
Yep.
And what are the different applications that we haven't thought of? So like at the undergrad, you'll be like, hey, we're just gonna make a lot of assumptions to make this problem really easy, so you guys can solve it. And then as a master student, you'll be like, okay, you don't have none of those assumptions. You're going to solve this problem. You're going to derive the equations from scratch. And
Mm-hmm.
derive just means like you're going to develop the equations from scratch based on like your knowledge of physics and math. So you have to use your knowledge of physics and math to come up with an equation on your own, or to come up with the equation that is already in the book, but you have to show the steps to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Mm-hmm.
like as an undergrad or in high school, it's like, here's the equation, plug in the numbers, solve for the answer. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
lot more rigorous. But if I did it, you can do it. Trust me. I'm good at math, but the biggest thing that you need to be successful in school is you have to have the passion and the work ethic. And I think that translates to a lot of other things as well in life. So if you have those two things, you'll be all right.
Right. What particular skills, software, speaking skills, or any of the sort did you learn during that experience that helped you in your career?
Um, the master's degree, the biggest thing was probably computer programming and finite element analysis. So both of those. So I learned like a little bit of Python, a little bit of Fortran, which is not relevant today in 2021. um, I mean, somebody somewhere is using it for something, but in terms of like getting a
People of a certain
job,
age, my
yeah,
friend.
yeah. But someone, if you're looking for a job, Python is probably like the number one thing I'd recommend starting with. Um, a lot of schools teach MATLAB, but we needed Python for something in particular. And then Abacus, which is just a computer software program that allows you to do finite element analysis. Those are probably like the top two technical things I learned. And those translated, if I'm doing some foreshadowing, those translated really good towards my um, first industry job. That's really like the reason why you hired me.
Before I move on here, I have two things I want to touch on. First is your summer internship that you mentioned earlier at Sandia.
Mm-hmm.
So were you able to do that during your master's degree? So how was that experience like? How did that help you?
Oh man, that was great. That was exciting. I remember getting like, so I had already met Joe Bishop like the year prior, and then I had been in contact with them like throughout the year, like, hey, are you still gonna do the internship, whatever. So the following year, once my first leading up to my first summer of grad school, I had been in communications with him. He was like, hey, yeah, I want you to come work with me for the internship. I gotta post a job and take in some applicants though. So go ahead and apply and everything like that, and then we'll follow up with you. Um, so yeah, I was able to get that job. That turned out really great. And I remember getting that job, and it was like, I remember like getting the official offer letter on campus. I remember calling my mom and stuff, or calling my dad. I was like, hey, I just got a summer internship. And I was like so happy, so excited. I was like, I'm getting paid 33 an hour. And they were like, what? My mom was like, damn, baby, you getting paid more than me. And I was like, what? And she had been a teacher for like decades at this point. So I don't know, that was like a really great sense of like pride and accomplishment that like, man, like that hard work paid off. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually doing something. So I mean, that was great. Working with Joe was awesome. I learned a lot, got a chance to do some um like it was a good introduction to research and what working in a research lab, like a national research lab would be like.
Mm-hmm.
And he also like gave me the opportunity to kind of set my own schedule. Like he was like, how many, number one, they had like a 980 schedule. So 980 means that every other week you get to take the Friday off. But you have to work 9 days, 9 hours a day for all the days that you're working. So you work the first week, Monday through Friday, 9 hours a day. The
Mm-hmm.
second week, 9 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, and then you had that Friday off. So that was awesome. And then also he kind of just let me pick when the start and end date of my internship was. So bro, I was getting paid $33 an hour. I was like, I'm not trying to go back anytime soon. So I got out there like as soon as I could, and then like I left like it was probably like August when I left Sandia. So I was like, I'm trying to rack up as much money as I can. So I
Mm-hmm,
knew
mm-hmm,
I wanted to get married at that time. I was planning on getting engaged, so I had to buy a wedding ring or engagement ring, and then yeah. So I was just trying to rack up as much money as I could, but it was great, getting a chance to learn a lot of cool stuff, and then getting introduced to Albuquerque, which is like really like a hidden gem kind of. It's a
mm-hmm,
cool city.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, overall it was awesome, man. Awesome experience.
No, that's fantastic. And that all came from
Yeah,
s-
networking.
the
Uh,
network. The
boy, you
network.
better get out there and
Hmm.
network.
You never
That's
know. You really, truly never know. And that's the
yeah.
thing. That's why you have to uh, be willing to push yourself out there.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that like the biggest piece of advice that you'll kind of find from this my discussion or my interview or talking to other people. I think a lot of it kind of boils down to network. And they always say your network is your net worth. So you can't, even if you're introverted, you can't be afraid to get out there and talk to people and get out your shell. Because I mean, if you got to go out there and get the opportunities yourself. So if you don't, you're gonna be sitting at home wondering why you don't have X, Y, Z. So get out there and talk to people and network, make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. I think on that note, I think that's a good stopping point for us. We got a whole another half of your life we got to get through. And that concludes part one of our interview with Andrew Baines. And before we end the episode, Andrew, one question that we always, we're going to try to always ask our guests here, and that is to provide a resource for students in undergrad or in high school that are trying to pay for college or trying to get a hold of opportunities. Would you have anything you would want to suggest to our audience?
Yeah. So I'll just kind of use the one that I talked about today, the one LSAMP, what I talked about earlier today, where I said I felt like this was the biggest impact or influence on me personally in my career was the Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation. That's L as in Larry, S as in Sam, A as in Apple, M as in Mom, P as in Paul. So yeah, if you're, I know within Texas, they're really big at like pretty much all the major schools in Texas, but I believe they're nationwide as part of like the National Science Foundation. So I think I'd really recommend LSAMP for people that are in STEM or thinking about STEM in college. And not only that, but any REU, any research, any undergraduate research opportunities. I think that'd be a good opportunity to get your foot in the door and see if this is something that you're really interested in, and then hopefully get paid for it at the same time. So, yeah, I would check out LSAMP. That'd be my recommendation for today.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andrew. And with that, we'll conclude part one. Catch us in part two shortly, and we will go through the rest of Andrew's life. And
Sounds good.
yeah, sounds good. I'll see you in a minute.